The envelope didn't have a return address, just my name written in a tremor-prone, frantic hand. Elias Thorne was dead. The man who had abandoned my mother and me in the Rust Belt grid of Ohio 20 years ago had finally run out of time, and he'd left his entire estate, every mansion, every share of stock, every dark memory, to me. I stood in the doorway of his coastal estate, the air smelling of salt and decay. The lawyer, a man named Holloway whose skin looked like dry parchment, handed me a single, heavy brass key. He was terrified, Julian, Holloway whispered, his eyes darting to the shadows in the hallway. He said the house itself was keeping score. I didn't believe in ghosts, but as I walked through the cavernous foyer, the silence felt heavy, pressurized. I spent the first night pacing the library, my footsteps echoing against the mahogany shelves. It was there, behind a first edition of Moby Dick, that I found the hollowed-out panel. A wall safe. I expected gold, bonds, maybe the leverage he'd used to ruin business rivals. Instead, I pulled out a stack of Polaroids. They were dated, yellowed, and all of them were of me. Not just me from the last week. The photo showed me getting coffee at my local shop, sitting on the park bench, sleeping in my own bed. My breath hitched. He wasn't a dead man when these were taken. He was watching me. But if he was watching me, why did he leave the inheritance? I turned the last photo over and saw a handwritten note: "If you're holding this, they've stopped looking for me. Don't look for the body. Look for the mirror." My heart hammered against my ribs. I turned toward the floor-to-ceiling mirror in the corner, and that's when I noticed the dust pattern on the floor wasn't symmetrical. It led behind the glass. I pushed. The mirror groaned, shifting aside, revealing a cramped, pitch-black staircase leading down into the foundations of the house. I grabbed a flashlight and descended, the temperature plummeting with every step. At the bottom, the beam of my light hit a steel door, but it wasn't locked. I pushed it open and froze. Inside the room were 3 people, huddled in chairs, hooked up to monitors. They looked exactly like me. My pulse was a thundering rhythm in my ears. I stepped forward, my boots crunching on broken glass, and stared at the face of the man closest to the light. It was me, every scar, every mole, every line of fatigue. I reached out, my fingers trembling, and touched his neck. A pulse. He was alive, just sedated. The screen beside him flickered, subject 04, cognitive drift. That's when the voice came from the shadows behind me. He was never very good at discarding the prototypes, was he? I spun around. It was Holloway, the lawyer, but he wasn't holding a briefcase anymore. He was holding a silenced pistol. "You're not the heir, Julian. You're the 4th iteration. The real Julian Thorne died in a car accident 22 years ago. Elias couldn't handle the grief. He spent his fortune on genetics and surrogate hosts, trying to map his son's consciousness onto blank slates. Everything shattered. The memories of my childhood, my mother, the poverty, the Rust Belt, it was all simulated, a software upload designed to stabilize my personality. I wasn't a person. I was a proof of concept. Why tell me now? I asked, my voice sounding hollow, like someone else's recording. Holloway sighed, his finger tightening on the trigger. "Because the tech works, but the cost is total mental decay after 10 years. Your 10 years are up tomorrow. We need to reset the room." I realized then why the mirror was the key. I lunged, not for Holloway, but for the main power breaker on the wall, smashing it with a heavy brass candle holder I'd pocketed upstairs. Total darkness swallowed the room. I didn't run for the stairs, I ran for the terminals. I had spent a lifetime learning how to fix things, how to repair engines, how to diagnose rot. I jammed the master override, dumping the entire database to the public cloud, all while the house's automated security began to lock down, sensing a breach. Holloway fired blindly in the dark, the bullet snapping wood near my head. I didn't care. I felt the upload bar hit 100%. The world would know about the Thorne experiments. I saw the muzzle flash one last time as I crouched behind the server rack. I wouldn't survive the night, but when the world woke up tomorrow, they'd know the truth about what it means to be a man. I closed my eyes as the door burst open. I wasn't just a copy anymore. I was the one who ended the experiment.